Hi all, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll be seeing the complete concepts which are there available with string manipulation. You'll be learning how to, first of all, what is meant by a string, what are the operators available with the string, what are the slicing techniques which are there with the string, and the functions and methods which are there available with the string. And at last, we'll be seeing how to traverse a string, how to take each and every character from a string and traverse using a for loop. Let us see how to initialize a particular variable with a string. If I have a variable called x and if you wanted to initialize the variable with a string, you need to either make use of a double quote or a single quote. It can be either a single quote or a single double quote, or it can be a triple quoted string. So I am having a string which is there with a double quote here. I can also have a string with a single quote. I can even have the same string which is going to have a triple single quote or triple double quotes. Alright, so I'm telling that it is a string, right? So what is meant by a string? String is nothing but it is going to have a set of characters. It can be any character, it can be a special character or whatever. Maybe you can just assume that string is nothing but a text. A group of characters forms a string. Here what you need to know is, if I'm giving a string with a double quote, if at all I need to have another double quote within this double quote. For example, I wanted to type something called welcome everyone. Everyone also must be there within double quotes. If I'm closing this, here actually the string has come to an end when I have started with this double quote itself. You need to know that you need to add a slash before that in order to specify that you are having a double quote within the double quote, right? So when you are having a string which is going to have a single quote, and if you wanted to have one more single quote within the single quote, then you need to add a slash before that in order to specify that you have a single quote within the single quote itself. Whenever you are having a slash and you are having a character, this is called as it is a non-graphic character or an escape sequence which you have to know. So now when I'm printing x, if I just wanted to print x, and when I'm running this, you can see that it is coming along with a single quote because I have assigned x twice. Whatever value I have assigned at last, it becomes a value of x. So x value is welcome everyone, which is going to have a single quote before everyone and after everyone. Now coming to the concept of triple quoted string, when do we need to use a triple quoted string is, suppose I needed to have multi-line strings. I wanted to have something which is to be printed in two different lines. Okay, I can even give slash in here, but instead of giving slash in, if I'm just pressing enter key and I wanted to make this to be printed in two different lines, I can give it with triple quotes in the beginning and end. So when I'm running this, after printing x, if I'm executing this, you can see hi everyone getting printed in two different lines. So the same thing is possible with the triple quoted single quotes. Triple single quotes can also be used in the place of triple double quotes. But then if I'm making use of a slash at the end and if I'm running the code, you can see that it is going to get printed in the single line. You can specify any string within the triple quote. If you wanted to have it in multiple lines, you can just press enter key and have the text in multiple lines. Or else if you wanted to specify, you want to type in multiple lines but you don't want it to make the string to be in different lines, you can have a slash at the end. So why you need to know all this is, sometimes they may be asking the length of the string, wherein you have to be careful in understanding how the length of the string varies with the when you are making use of a triple quoted string. When I'm finding len of x right now, it is 10 because it is 1, 2, it is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the slash is not taken into account. For example, if I'm not having slash and if I'm running this code and if I'm again finding the length of x, it is going to be 11 because a slash n is there. Slash n is again an escape sequence. If you need to know more about slash n, if I'm having hello slash n everyone, it is going to print hello in the first line and everyone in the second line, right? If I'm printing the value of x and if I'm executing it, it will be printing hello in the first line and everyone in the second line, because slash n means it is a new line. A new line is going to get added up. It moves the pointer to the next line and it is going to print whatever is there followed with slash n. So when you are finding length of this x, what happens is you will be taking this slash n as the size of this slash n as 1. You have to consider this size as 1. Okay, and if it is slash quotes or a single quote, or it may be double quote, whatever is coming along with the slash, the size of this particular thing will be considered as 1 and it is not 2. And if at all I'm having something with triple quoted string, you have to understand that this will be printed in 2 different lines, and there is a slash in here which is not seen right now, but it is going to get added up when we are printing it. So slash n must be taken as with the length 1, and that must be added up with the length. Now coming to the next concept of what are the operators which are available with the string. We have the operations called string concatenation, replication, membership operators, and comparison. String comparison can also be done. Now, if I wanted to join two strings, I can join it using plus. I can join two string using plus. Plus acts as a concatenation operator. Here, welcome and everyone will get joined together to produce the value of x. So welcome everyone is getting printed. If you wanted to have a space here, you can give a space so that it is going to print along with a space. So what is a replication operator? If I'm having some string with a multiplication, if I'm multiplying with a number multiplied with a string, or a string multiplied with a number, is going to replicate the string those many times. How many times I wanted to replicate, I can give it in the form of a number. So if I'm printing x and if I'm running the code, I can see the string getting replicated 4 times because 4 is given over here, right? So what is not possible with the string? Even that you have to know. So we have seen which is possible. Now what is not possible is a string cannot be multiplied with a string. A string cannot be multiplied with a string. This is going to produce a error. Okay, and a string cannot be added with a number. It cannot be added with a number, and this is also going to produce an error. So these are the places you have to be careful. Whenever you are seeing any debugging questions, you will be asked to find the error, right? At that time you have to know what are all the methods in which the string operations can be done. A string can be added up with another string, a string can be multiplied with a number, or even a number can be multiplied with a string. Both the ways are possible. Coming to the concept of membership operator, suppose I need to check whether a particular word is present. For example, whether come is present in welcome. This in is the membership operator. There are two membership operators, in and not in. In, how it is working is, it is going to check whether come is present in this particular string or not. If you're running this code, you will be getting either true or false. If it is present, it is going to be true. If it is not present, it is going to be false. So what is the return type of membership operator? It is a Boolean value. Either true or false will be returned out of it. If I'm having a string which is not present here, it is going to print false. Whether if I wanted to check if it is not in, I'm telling that well is not in welcome. Yes, of course, well is not in welcome. So it is going to return true in this case, because we are just checking whether it is not in welcome, and yes, it is not present. So that is why we are getting true as a return value. When you are checking this, you should also make a note of the cases. If it is in uppercase, it is not going to work fine with the lowercase letters. Even this EL is different from this EL. This is in uppercase and this is in lowercase. How the comparison operator is going to work is, you can have the equality comparison. We can check whether a particular two particular strings equality can be checked in this manner. So whether it is equal or not, I am checking. If it is not equal, I can check whether it is not equal. I can check it is going to return false. If I am having small h over here, this hello is not equal to this hello, so it is going to return true. Yes, it is not equal, then it is going to return true. If it is equal, it will be returning false, because I am checking whether this is equal to this hello. No, this is not equal, so it is returning false. If no is your answer, false is the result. If yes is your answer, true is going to be the result. So what are all the other comparison operators available? Before that, you need to know the ordinal values of any particular number. What is an ordinal value? It is nothing but an ASCII value of any particular number or any particular character. If it is 0, what is the ASCII value for 0? What is the ASCII value of capital A? And what is the ASCII value of small a? You also call it as an ordinal value. For example, I am comparing welcome with hello. I am comparing whether it is greater. Okay. So here I am having a capital letter W and here I am having a small letter H. So whenever you see the ordinal value of a lowercase alphabet, it is going to be higher than the ordinal value of the uppercase alphabets. Keep that in mind. Whenever the starting letter is in one is in higher, the uppercase and another one is in lowercase, then the lowercase alphabet is going to have a higher ordinal value. So this is going to be the greater string compared to the string which is there in the left. So ordinal value of H is going to be greater. So this particular statement is going to return false because H is going to have an higher ordinal value. So what you have to remember is whenever a string is getting compared, it is getting compared according to the ordinal value. It is false because I'm having ordinal value of A as 65, capital A, and B is 66, the next number. So when I'm having it as lesser than, then it is going to return true. Hope you understood how the comparison is happening between the strings. But what happens if I'm having apple lesser than apple itself? Along with apple, let me have one more E added to it. I'm having apple completely here and here also it is apple. Then how can I compare it and check it? So in this case, what you need to do is you have to find the length of the string. Whichever is having a higher length is going to be the greater. So this is greater than this apple and you will be having true as the result. So here you need to understand that there is a function called ORD which is going to return us back with the ASCII value. There is also a function called CHR which is going to return the, if I'm giving an ASCII value, for example, if I'm giving the ASCII value 67, it is going to return me back with the character. What is the character which is going to have the ASCII value 67? Converting this ASCII value into a character, you can make use of CHR function. So these are the two functions which are available, which can be used when you are manipulating the string. Now we can move on to the concept of string slicing, which is a very important concept. So for to understand the concept of string slicing, you need to understand how the string is stored, how the storage of string is happening, and how to access each and every character which is there at present in the string. There is something called indexing which you need to use in order to access each and every character. If I'm making use of forward indexing, it starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So x of 6 is going to retrieve me E as a character. X of 0 will be retrieving me W as a character. So if I'm printing x of 0, it will be retrieving W. So this is forward indexing. And we also have the backward indexing, wherein we'll be making use of -1, -2, starting from the last -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6 and -7. You can take each and every character and you can access it using the indexing. This is called as an index which we are writing. It has to be enclosed with a square bracket, an open and closed square bracket. And what is the concept of string slicing is, if you wanted to take a substring out of the string, if I wanted to retrieve some continuous characters from the string, I can make use of string slicing technique. So I wanted to retrieve the character starting with the index 2 and ending with the index 4, I need to give 5. Alright, if I'm giving a colon and if I'm specifying a number before and after, the number which is there in the beginning represents the starting index and the number next to it represents the number which is next to the ending index. We need to, if I need to take the characters from the second index until the fourth index, I need to give it as 2:5. So this is 0, 1 and 2. So my index starting with 2 is L. So L, C and O, because 2, 3 and 4. Fifth index, we are getting M as the character which is available in the fifth index, that will not be taken into account. We need to stop one position before itself. So that is the concept with the string slicing. You have to start with the starting index and end with the number which is there before the ending index. So with the fourth index itself, we have to stop. So what if I'm giving any particular number, if I just wanted to retrieve the character alone, I can give x of 0, x of minus 1 and all that. If I wanted to retrieve a character, and if I'm giving some number which is there greater than the index which is specified here, if I'm running the code, it is going to produce string index out of range error. Okay, but when I'm giving in the form of a string slicing, if I'm giving from the starting index 0 until 10th index, or I mean until 9th index, if it is given as 10, it means that it is until 9. So if I'm giving 0 colon 10, it is just going to retrieve from the beginning until the end. The index which is there out of bounds will not be taken into account. It is going to consider the last index. It will just traverse the string and stop when it has come to the end of the string. That's it. It doesn't move any forward, and it will not produce any error in case of string slicing. If I'm having any particular slicing with an empty, which is empty in the first place, and the second value alone, if I'm specifying, for example, if I'm giving it as 5, it means that from the beginning until the index 4. It means it is from the beginning. If it doesn't have any value, it means that it is from the beginning of the string. So what is going to get printed in this case is, you'll be taking from the starting of the string until the index 4 will be printed. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to get printed. So those are the characters, continuous characters available within this range. So when I am specifying the range which is not going to have either the starting index or the ending index, then it is just going to print the complete string which is there available from the beginning until the end. If I'm going to give the starting index 2, and if I'm not specifying the ending index, then it will print the character starting with the second index and ending with the last character, starting with L and ending with E. We also have something called as a step value. If it is 0 colon 5, and if I'm having again another colon, and if I'm specifying the step value as 2, it is going to skip one character in between and take the next character. So starting with the 0th index, I'm having W, and ending with the 4th index, because I have given 5, it is 4th index, 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. I'm stopping with the 4th index. So these are the characters which is coming within this range. I need to skip one character in between. I need to start with the first character, skip one character, start with the next character, skip one character. So what will be the result of this particular 0 colon 5 alone, and show you WELCO. Now if I'm printing 0 colon 5 colon 2, it is going to take W, skip E. It is going to take L, skip C. It is going to take O, and there is nothing to skip. It just stops over there. Got it? So W will be taken, E will be skipped. L will be taken, C will be skipped. So if I'm not specifying anything, it means that it is by one default. If I'm not specifying anything, or even if I'm giving colon 1, it means it is 1 by default. You are going to get the same result even if I'm going to give colon 1, or even if I'm not going to give colon 1. If I'm having from beginning until the end, and if I'm giving -1, it is going to produce the string in the reverse order. So now if I'm having some values 5 colon 2 colon -1, it is going to take the 5th character, I mean the character available in the 5th index, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is taking the character which is available in the 5th index, and then after displaying M, it is going to move in the reverse order. So until which index it is going to move is, here we are moving in the reverse order because it is given as -1 in the step value. So this is 5th index, this is 4, this is 3, and this is 2. Actually 2 is here, but we should not consider the end value as such. We have to move one value before itself. We have to stop with that. So starting with M, O, and ending with C. Got it? So starting with M and ending with C, you have to stop with C itself. You should not move until the value which is given over here. Stop before that value. So when I'm moving forward, we'll be stopping. If I'm having until C, then I'll be stopping with L itself. So in the same way, when I'm moving in the reverse order, if I'm having until L, I'll be stopping with C itself. But this is not the case. When I'm not specifying anything, we should not stop one character before. This just means that from the beginning until the end. 7 colon 2 colon -2. Okay. So when I'm starting from the end, this is sixth character. So 6, 5, 4, 3. I'm stopping with C itself. To take E, the first character, because I'm starting with the seventh character. Seventh character is not available, so I'm starting with sixth character. So E will be taken into account, skip M. O will be taken into account, skip C. So E, O alone will be printed on the screen. So be careful when you are traversing in the reverse order. So let us see some of the examples with the negative index. -2, if I'm having, for example, -6 colon -2. So I said reverse or a backward indexing -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So -6 is the character E. So -6 and -5, -4, -3. This is -2. M is -2. Stopping before that is O. So we need to stop before one character, as I said. So in this way, we need to take into account if it is a negative index. So if I have -6 colon nothing, it means that from the -6, from the character which is there available with -6 until the end of the string. If I'm not having anything in the beginning, and if it is until -4, for example, it is from the beginning until the character which is there before -4. Before -4 is here -5. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5 is L. So until L, it is getting printed on the screen. So what happens if I am giving any step value along with the negative index? -6 colon -2, as we already have here, -6 colon -2 colon again -2. It is 2. For example, if I am giving as 2, it is going to take the first character, skip the next character, take the next character which is C and skip O. So take one character, skip one character in the middle. So that is what we have seen whenever we are giving 2 as a skip value. What happens if I am giving -6 colon -2 colon -2? Nothing is going to get printed because it is starting with -6 and it is moving in reverse order until it is finding -2. If it is starting with -6, then -1, -2, -3, -4, -5 and -6. It is starting with E. If it is starting with E and it is moving backwards -2, it will not reach this particular character which is there before -2, which is -3. Okay, so there is nothing available within this range in the reverse order, so nothing is going to get printed on the screen. So whenever you are moving backwards, you have to find that whether the value in that particular range is available when we are moving in backward. I wanted to traverse in the reverse order. I can have it as -2 colon -6 colon -2. Then if I'm running the code, I will be getting the output starting with -2. So -1, -2. My starting character is M. I'm skipping one character O, taking the next character into account. So this is going to happen until -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. The one before -6, I have to stop here until L. Got it? So E will be, this is, yeah, M will be the starting one because -2 is M. So starting with M, leave O, take C into account, leave L. So that is how we are getting only MC as the answer. So that's it. The complete concepts which are available with the string slicing method. Whenever you are having a negative number as a skip value, you have to know that you are traversing in the reverse order. Most important property which you need to know with respect to string is it is immutable. Why does the string is immutable is, if at all I'm having the string X and if I wanted to retrieve the character which is there present in the first index, it is X of 0, I can run it and I can print it on the screen. If I wanted to change that character W into some other character, for example A, if I wanted to change that character, it is not possible because item assignment, I can't change any particular character by assigning it to another character. Got it? So because this is done, this is not possible, it is called as immutable. We can't change any particular value of any particular character which is there present in the string, but we can initialize it to another character. We can initialize to another text. As such, if we are initializing, that is possible, but whenever it is whenever we are initializing, for example, x is equal to good, I'm initializing. If I'm seeing where the value of x is getting stored in memory is, I can find it out using id function. It is going to return me back with the address available. So if I'm changing the value of x is equal to some other value, and if I'm running, if I'm also finding the value of address of x, it is going to be in a different location. It is not that because it is x, it is going to get stored in the same location. Okay, as and when I'm initializing, it is going to get changed with the address. So the value of x cannot be changed in place in the same memory. Wherever good is being stored in the same memory, I can't change any particular character or change the whole string. If I'm changing string, if I wanted to completely change it, it is also going to change its memory location, and that is a concept available with the immutable property of string. So next is the functions which are available with the string. What are all the possible functions which are there with the string is, there is something called capitalize. If I'm having something like this, and if I'm capitalizing using the function called capitalize, I can see only the first character will become the capital character. Suppose if I wanted to make everything to capital letter, then it is upper. If I'm running this code, I can make all the characters into capital letters. If I wanted to make everything into lowercase letter, it is lower. The starting character of each and every word alone into capital letter. The function available is title. So each and every word's first character alone will become the capital letter if I'm using the function called title. And if I needed to check whether it is in capital letter or a smaller letter, so is lower is to check whether it is in lowercase. All the characters which are there available is in lowercase, it is going to return true. Even if a single character is there with uppercase, then it will be returning false. This is lower function is going to check whether all the characters available is in lowercase or not. So if I'm having any uppercase, all these characters in uppercase, and if I'm checking yes upper, it will be returning true. Even if a single character is in lowercase, it will be returning false. So this is with is lower, is upper, lower, upper, capitalize, title. So all these functions are over. Coming to the next function, which is alpha. Is alpha is the one which is going to check whether all the characters are alphabets or not. I'm running this code, it is going to be fine. If I'm having welcome under exclamation mark, it is going to return false because this is not coming under an alphabet, it is a special character. Even if I'm having a space, it is going to return false. So it is going to depend whether it is just an alphabet. Even if that is a number, it is returning false. Whenever you are checking whether it is an alphabet, strictly it is going to stick on to find whether it is an alphabet or not. Either it may be a capital letter or it may be a smaller case. It is going to stick on to whether it is an alphabet or not. So there is something called is digit, which is going to check whether each and every character is just a number. Here I'm having a number along with some characters. Let me take all that other characters, and if I'm executing this code, I'll be getting true. Even if a single character or a space or something else is there attached to it, it is going to return false. If I'm having a number and an alphabet and I wanted to check whether it is an alphanumeric character, there is a function called alnum available. So it will check whether it contains both the number and a character. If at all there is a single space available or a special character available at the end or at any place, then it is going to return false, right? So there must not be any special character or any other characters. Only it is going to stick on to whether it is having a group of alphabet and number alone. It can be any case, anywhere you can have, but it must contain only alphabet and number. Only then it is going to return true. Even if a single space is there, it will be returning false. There is another function called find, which is going to find whether a particular substring is present in the string or not. So I'll be having a substring. For example, if I'm having COM, I'm checking whether the substring is present in the string X or not. So this substring will be checked whether it is present in X or not. If this is the case, it is going to return us back with the index where this particular substring is present. So the index at which C is present, that will be returned if this particular string is continuously present. So 0, 1, 2, 3. 3 is the index at which C is present, and from there onwards we are finding this substring. That is why I'm getting 3 as the result. For example, what happens if I'm finding a substring which is not present? It is going to return -1 as the result if at all I'm searching for a substring which is not present in the string. And we can also find a string between some indexes. We can specify, and with that we can find whether it is present or not. Between second index until if it is given as 7, then it is considered as until sixth index. So 0, 1, 2 from second index until 6 in the 7 in the sense until 6 it was going to get checked. So if this is the case, -1 is getting printed because I'm not having COM within that. If I'm changing it into capital C and if I'm running, I'll be getting 3 as the result, because from here onwards I can see COM within the range which is being specified here. So the last concept of how to traverse a particular string. You can have a for loop for I in X, or to make it even more meaningful, for CH in X. You can take what does this line means? It is going to take each and every character from the string X. Got it? And I'm going to print each and every character. I'm going to print the character on the screen. So when I'm running this code, I can see each and every character getting printed on the screen. Because I haven't initialized this, I have to run this, and then if I'm running, I can see the complete welcome to the tutorial getting printed on the screen. So we have seen that it has got printed each and every character from the string X. So what if I wanted to print only the text, only the character which are there with the capital letter? For example, let me make some characters as the capital letter, so that I just wanted to print only those capital letter on the string. Or let us have that to count. Also, let us have that we need to count all the capital letter characters on the screen. So let me have a count variable which is initialized to 0. I need to check whether the character which I am taking into account is a uppercase letter. So I'm checking whether it is an uppercase letter, and I'm having a colon. There must be a colon at the end of for loop, and I mean the for statement and if statement, there must be a colon, and the next statement has to get indented. There must be an indentation here and here. Automatically, if the colon is put and if the enter key is pressed, it will be indented. And if I'm printing the character here, it is going to print only the characters which are there in the uppercase. And let me have the count to get incremented to 1 whenever I'm seeing an uppercase letter. And if I'm running this code, I can see that all the capital letters getting printed on the screen. And because I haven't printed the count, I'm not seeing it here. So let me print it at the end of the for loop. After the for loop is over, I'm trying to print it. So I can see the number 3 getting appeared because I'm having 3 characters which are there lowercase. If I just need to count only the smaller case, I can put this count in the else condition. So other characters which are there available other than the one in the uppercase, it is going to count even the spaces which are there available. So 20 characters are there, right? So this is how we need to traverse a particular text, particular string, and we can manipulate. We can also frame a new string out of it. For example, if I need to make all the capital letter into smaller letter, all smaller case into capital letters, let us have that particular problem in mind, and let us find how to write a program in order to make all capital letters to smaller letter and smaller letter to capital letter. Right? We can have a new string s initialized to nothing, and let me have a for loop which is going to take each and every character which is present in the string X, and then if that particular character is upper, I'm going to convert that character into lowercase, and I will be appending it with the string S. S is the one which is going to hold the new string for us, right? LF, if the character LF must be written, it is not else if it is LF in Python. So LF is lower. If it is in lowercase, then I'll be appending it with the uppercase character. And if it is other than the uppercase or lowercase character, space or any other special characters, I'm just going to make it to get appended with the character itself. And if I'm printing the string on the screen, I can see that each and every character getting converted into its opposite case and getting printed. Right? So that is another way of traversing a string. If I wanted to traverse in this manner, like x of 0, x of 1 with respect to the index I wanted to traverse, and I need to take each and every character and manipulate it, we can start writing the code in this way. For I in range of len of x. Len of x is going to return me with the total number of characters available with the string, and with that range, if I'm having it in the range function, with that number, if I'm having within the range function, it is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 will be the value returned by len of x. If it is range of 7, then the value within that range is 0 to 6. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will be all the numbers with which is going to be the result of range of 7. So I'll be getting all the indexes available with I. How can I traverse the string is in this manner. If I'm just printing x of I value will be 0 for the first time, 1 for the second time, 2 for the third time, and it goes on until it has come to the end of the string. So because I'm having range of 7, it will be stopping with the I value as 6. So this is how I will be getting the output when I'm running the code. I'll be taking each and every character and I'm printing it. Hope all the string manipulation techniques are clear. To get regular updates, do subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching the video.